Imagine waking up tomorrow and large parts of the internet suddenly stop working. Banking systems freeze, messages fail to send, cloud servers go offline, international payments stall, and millions of people have no idea why. Because the modern world depends on something surprisingly fragile: thin cables hidden deep beneath the ocean. Right now, nearly 99% of global internet traffic flows through these underwater lines. Your salary, your GPS, stock markets, military communications, even this video. And lately, those cables are becoming the center of a growing geopolitical crisis. In the past year alone, internet cables were damaged near Taiwan. Multiple cables were mysteriously severed in the Baltic Sea. And conflict in the Red Sea disrupted critical global cable routes. This is no longer just technology. It's infrastructure warfare. And some experts now fear the next global conflict may begin beneath the sea. Most people imagine the internet as wireless, invisible, floating through the air. But the reality is much stranger. The modern world depends on more than 570 active submarine cable systems, stretching across nearly 1.4 million kilometers beneath the oceans. That's enough cable to wrap around Earth dozens of times, and almost everything depends on them. Banking systems, cloud computing, global shipping, financial markets, military coordination. Every single day, an estimated $10 trillion in financial activity moves through these cables. Human civilization has essentially built its nervous system underwater. And now, the world is realizing how exposed that system really is. Because when these cables fail, millions of people notice instantly. Back in 2008, damage to undersea cables near Egypt disrupted internet access across parts of the Middle East and Asia. Entire regions experienced severe slowdowns and communication failures. The internet feels invisible, but underneath it all, everything is physically connected. One of the world's biggest internet choke points is the Red Sea, a narrow corridor carrying nearly 20% of internet traffic between Europe and Asia. Which means conflict there doesn't just threaten shipping, it threatens the internet itself. And this fear is no longer theoretical. In 2024, multiple undersea cables in the Red Sea were damaged during regional instability, triggering disruption concerns across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. But what's happening beneath the sea is even bigger than cable damage, because some of the world's largest internet infrastructure projects are already being affected by geopolitical tension. Meta's massive 2 Africa cable project, one of the largest subsea networks ever built, faced delays because Red Sea routes became too dangerous. Google's Blue Ramen project, designed to connect India, Europe, and the Middle East, also faced security concerns as instability escalated. And the India-Europe Express cable system, critical for connectivity between India and Europe, was forced to reconsider deployment risks across vulnerable regions. Think about that. The internet itself is now being redesigned around geopolitical fear. And now, Europe is exploring entirely new Arctic cable routes beneath the North Pole, trying to bypass unstable regions like the Red Sea and Russia altogether. For decades, internet cables were designed for speed and efficiency. Now, they're being redesigned for survival. At the same time, another fear is growing in Europe: the Baltic Sea. Over the last few years, multiple underwater cables and pipelines there have been mysteriously damaged. Some incidents may have been accidental. Others triggered sabotage investigations and NATO surveillance operations. Because the terrifying reality is this: a single ship dragging an anchor can damage infrastructure entire countries depend on. And nearly 200 cable faults already happen globally every year. Most are accidental, but governments increasingly fear future attacks may not be. Modern warfare may no longer begin in the sky or on land. It may begin beneath the sea. And nowhere is this fear more intense than Taiwan. Taiwan sits at the center of the global semiconductor industry, but it's also surrounded by some of the world's most strategically important internet cables. Recently, Taiwan activated emergency backup communication systems after another cable near the Matsu Islands was severed. At the same time, China has reportedly demonstrated deep-sea cable cutting technology capable of operating thousands of meters underwater. And suddenly, a terrifying question appeared. What happens if future wars target communication itself? A war in the 21st century may not begin with missiles. It may begin with silence. Just digital darkness. Hit that subscribe button to join a community of thinkers who refuse to take the world at face value.